Live and online, it's Sleepless with Steve and the Movie Book Club with your host, Steve Pulaski.
Back and better than ever, Sleepless with Steve. We are live and in living color on YouTube on this Wednesday evening, first day of March. I call it the month of mud. I call it the month of mud if you live in the Midwest, because this is the time of the year. Everybody always expects like the calendar is going to go to 3-1 and it's going to be 70 degrees out, if only. This is the month of mud. This is the month where like all the grocery store, department store, like snow mounds melt and just reveal a season's worth of cigarette butts, Starbucks cups, and all the other filth that's accumulated over the last 4 months.
It's a problem.
And it's muddy as shit. Like, you cannot walk on grass during this time. I would not advise it. I don't care how warm it's going to be. You should not walk on grass at all this month. And then next month is the month of April is defined by Easter and the holy shit, it's snowing in April like it does every year posts. So we still got a long way to go before we're out of the woods, but the light is at the end of the tunnel. It's a balmy 52 degrees out here today in beautiful eastern Iowa. I don't know about by you guys if it was warmer or colder, but it was a very balmy 52 today. It was very nice.
100%.
Indeed. We shall move forward.
My mic was muted. I just realized that. No, I had a nice 54 degrees, and I actually got stuck outside for work to take photos of the downtown area do. So I had a good day at work. I got to just take photos to upload for our new website and everything.
That's a good day right there. I mean, like I said, it could have been 30 degrees and you'd have been miserable, but it actually worked out really well for you. Kudos. Yeah. And it's supposed to snow out here on Friday, so that's wonderful. But
same here.
Yeah, lovely. At any rate, we've got a great show. We are talking about two very popular topics, cocaine and South Park. That's what we are talking about.
What's the difference?
What a great roster that we've got planned for today. Obviously, reviewing Cocaine Bear movie, made a ton of money at the box office. What a first couple of months. I saw this tweet. I can't claim credit for it, but what a great couple of months it's been for this. I wonder if it's going to be a trendy term now, quote unquote, weird cinema. And that's not a pejorative, but this whole new genre almost of these medium budget studio movies like Violent Night with David Harbour, Megan, and now Cocaine Bear that are just concept driven, not trying to set the stage for 50 sequels, not trying to balloon their budgets up to $100 million and cast these A-listers and celebrity cameos, just trying to be good, old-fashioned, unadulterated fun. And I also saw, I'm going to put this on you guys' radar, because I don't know if you guys heard about this today. Buddy informed me. There is a horror comedy coming out by the director Tim Story, who did Ride Along. He did Fantastic Four. And it's called The Blackening. The Blackening. And it's a horror movie with an all-black cast playing on the age-old trope of the black character dies first. And it looks very good. It looks very promising. Tim Story's never done horror before. I don't recall he ever has, so I'm interested in that angle alone, even though this has definitely the comedic slant. But I think The Blackening could be lumped into this new weird cinema trend that we are seeing. Renfield in a couple months, or next month actually, with Nick Cage and Nicholas Hoult. That wacky-ass vampire movie I've seen the trailer for twice. Still don't know what to make of that thing. Renfield, yeah, that's coming out next month, I think the 14th. But we're going to talk Cocaine Bear. I did inadvertently spoil it for myself and saw Joe's letterbox, so we're going to fight. Looking forward to that immensely. But before we get into that, before we talk South Park, we got to go through the check-ins over here. Dom, how are you?
Doing good. Been going to the city a lot lately for work. The downtown office, and I'm taking the Pace Bus, baby, because my mirror, my right side mirror on my car, bitch slapped a deer.
Yeah.
Did I tell you? I told you guys about that,
you
right?
Did tell me that, yeah.
But I was like, I don't feel comfortable taking this into work if on I-55. For 90 minutes, people doing their thing on I-55. So I just took the Pace Bus one day, and I'm like, oh, this is actually, public transport is nice, which I've always thought. But honestly, I've always been, I am a night owl who longs to be a Yeah, night owl who's always longed to be a morning bird. I've completely messed up. What is it? A night owl
An
and
early bird?
early bird. Jesus. Yeah. I don't even know the
Morning
term.
bird.
But yeah, I'm getting used to it now. So we'll see. I'm honestly like after this, I'm probably gonna have some quick dinner and then go to sleep because I'm gonna get up at like 5, which is normal for you, Steve, because you're a radio guy. But you don't have
that 5 o'clock alarm comes around mighty quickly, doesn't it?
It really does. And what's your commute though? How long?
5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I'm very fortunate. 5 minutes. No, I am on air at 6 a.m. My alarm goes off at 5:40. So I sleep until the absolute last minute.
That's sick. That's like college dorm days.
I did that at the old place. I had to be there at 5. Alarm was 4:35, I think.
That's funny.
It's enough time for me to get up, feed the cats, brush my teeth, dress myself, and go.
Respect.
Yep. Yeah, be like me. Burn the candle at both ends. Be a night owl and an early bird. Joe, how are you?
I'm doing good. Sucks to hear that we're going to be having a Creed 3 situation here of 2 friends going at each other in the ring tonight, apparently, with the Cocaine Bear review. So, yeah, no, other than that, though, I've been doing very good. I'm coming to the end of my first class of this year. I can't wait for it to happen and have a week off for St. Patty's Day and go out, celebrate, drink, and then start another class and be, damn it, why the hell did I do this? I'm at that point now, I think, with Master School, where, like, I first joined it, and I was like, this is great. I'm glad I made this decision. And now I'm at the middle point of, why the fuck did I do this? This is just time consuming. This sucks. I hate it. And I know once I get to the end of it, I'll be like, okay, I was glad I did that. But right now I'm in that point now where it's like, why did I choose to do this? Why? I have enough going on in my life.
I'm seeing so many parallels between you and my best friend who went to the grad school ringer amidst COVID. It was the same thing. And it's a good reminder why I'm very grateful I chose a profession that does not need many more schooling than I can get on the fly.
My word of advice to kids out there, go to school, of course, and everything. But if you can find a field where you can get that done in 4 years, make a good amount of money to live off of, do it.
We don't need no liberal arts college education.
It could be worse.
We don't need that liberal indoctrination. Come on.
I mean, you look at it could be worse.
Hey, I still live at home. I'm still trying to get my master's degree. These 2 guys got to go off and they have their own place.
You're going for a master's? God damn. Well, master's degree is such like a high concept for me. I cannot connect with it. I can't do it. After college, I was like, college was a slog, but dude, I'm like,
I can't afford it, let alone conceptualize it.
Well, that too, yeah.
Dude, I mean, you're telling me, like, look, I'm fortunate enough that, like, the field I found and everything, there's a lot of loan forgiveness because I work for the government. Thank you, Joe Biden.
Let's go, Brandon.
So, yeah. So, like, me pursuing it, I was like, okay, look, I do have this fallout plan of, like, no matter what, whether I finish it or not, in a few years, this will go away. It'll be, like, removed because of my service to the government. But that is the only... If I didn't have that avenue, I don't know if I would have pursued it either. But because, like, so many people recommended it to me, the school was in state, and I had that, like, fallout plan, I was like, let me do it. But, yeah, that is where I'm at currently. It's like, I'm almost done with one class. Can't wait to have a week off. But Jesus Christ, it's starting to not take a toll on me, but I'm starting to notice it of, like, oh my god, dude, my social life, or my 3 pillars of life, where it's like the triangle where it's like you could be social, have enough sleep, and I forgot the third one is
like, work, isn't it? Or school, like, do well in school or work.
School, yeah. And I chose do well in school and work and have a social life. I am running on fumes.
Yeah, I would say of the 3 prongs, the sleep one has definitely been the one I've neglected as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, when you get that master's degree and you're in a whole other tax bracket, just wink, wink, save me a guest room in your Northbrook mansion.
You got it, brother. I'll have
we'll move
theater and we'll talk about the Cocaine Bear and everything.
Oh hell yeah, I like that. I like that concept. We are talking Cocaine Bear, Elizabeth Banks's new film. I didn't have you pull it up, Joe. I probably should have sent it to you, but I'm not a great host. I recommend, first and foremost, everybody go read the Variety piece that was done on Elizabeth Banks a couple of weeks ago. I know I sent it to you guys. Excellent read that really talked about how, like, this was a couple of weeks ago, about how Elizabeth Banks was kind of expressing a little bit of fear about how well this movie was going to do. And that was one of the situations. I mean, yeah, I assume if I was in that situation, I'd be nervous as hell too. But it's like it was also like I think every outside analyst was expecting this movie to do pretty well just based on the marketing hype, and sure enough, it is. But moreover, the piece basically talked about how like Elizabeth Banks getting another shot to direct a movie after what a flop Charlie's Angels was in 2019 was already a rarity, and it's like there was a lot riding on this like hard R-rated action comedy thriller concept that if it bombed, it's a good chance we would not see Elizabeth Banks for a long time. Hell, I still don't know. It's an unrelated situation. I am really curious to see if we get another Damien Chazelle movie anytime soon after Babylon. I think the Oscar clout, I think since 2 of his 4 movies have gotten, well, 3 of the 4 with Babylon, but with 2 of the 4 movies he's made garnering major Oscar nominations and winning, I like to think he's safe, but Babylon lost a shitload of money.
It did.
I think he'll be okay. He'll be fine. He can move and shake, and he's made some really good relationships, with the movies he's made. Elizabeth Banks is a more precarious situation because her financial returns on the movie she's directed have been a little spotty.
It's literally just like Pitch Perfect 2, I think, was the only thing she had.
Pitch Perfect 2, yeah, she's basically now 2-1 if we're quantifying it like sports. Yeah, she's basically 2-1 with hits. So I was really happy. I remember when the trailer first dropped, and it wasn't until I did other research that I was like, oh, Elizabeth Banks is directing this, and that's really interesting.
You don't like feminism? Fine. Let's do a next movie. Cocaine Bear.
I just want to say we'll talk about Banks here because I think she deserves her flowers for this in a lot of ways, but we'll talk about her in a minute. But I just want to say that this movie, like if you love movies, I don't think to the masses, to people who are casual moviegoers, I don't think this cast list jumps out to a lot of people, but there are some serious names in here for people that really are in tune and love like indie movies and such. I mean, you got Kerry Russell, who has been around for a long time. She's good, very underrated. O'Shea Jackson Jr., Ice Cube's son from Ingrid Goes West and Straight Outta Compton. Alden Ehrenreich from Rules Don't Apply and Solo, A Star Wars Story. Brooklyn Prince, who I forget how young she is, because it's been like 5, 6 years since the Florida Project came out. And I'm like, Jesus, she's like, what, 11? And I'm like, well, yeah, she was like 6 in that movie, dumbass. Like, yeah, she's 12, Brooklyn Prince, born in 2010. Do you feel old? Brooklyn Prince is in this thing. Ray Liotta in one of his final roles as well. Margot Martindale, Isaiah Whitlock Jr. There are Jesse Tyler Ferguson. The one other guy that I'll mention too. I don't know if you guys recognized him or if you're really in tune with the TikTok thing. Did you recognize Scott Seiss, the paramedic?
Yes.
Oh yeah. All over the trailers.
Did you recognize? Do you remember? Do you know his TikToks? Are you familiar with those?
Oh yeah.
The retail gambit and everything. So that was great. That was
those
great.
Eyes, man. It's that scrawny ass frame with those big eyes.
And he's got the best line in the movie. I'm not going to ruin it, but he has the singular best line in the movie. And I won't ruin it for people who haven't seen it, But yeah, Cocaine Bear. This is based off a true story of Pablo Escobar, as he's become known. Basically, and I think there needs to be like some qualifying of like what actually happened. In 1985, there was like the first 5 minutes of this movie is true. In 1985, there was a drug smuggler named Andrew C. Thornton II who dropped a ton of cocaine from his plane down into like the Chattahoochee National Forest of Georgia in that area. And he ultimately wound up dying when he jumped out of the plane. He was trying to take weight off the plane. He jumped and his parachute didn't activate and he plunged to his death. Now, that's pretty much the whole story up until the point that when researchers found, and regional local rangers, I guess, found months later a dead black bear in the middle of the forest who had ingested, I think it was 75 grams of coke, 75 grams of cocaine. Now, there's a couple quantifiers here. The bear was never linked to any maulings. There was nothing of that sort that had happened in the area recently. And number 2, only about 3 to 4 grams of coke seeped into the bear's bloodstream by the time he died. So it's unlikely that bear did anything besides get high off his own supply and then die. That's pretty much what he, it would be interesting to know what those, I would assume few minutes looked like. I can't imagine that bear lived very long after ingesting it. But what Cocaine Bear does, what this movie does, is sort of reimagine this story as this bear then who becomes addicted to cocaine and stops at nothing to get a fix. And then you have a slew of characters, almost too many to summarize at this point. You have a local detective named Bob, played by Isaiah Whitlock Jr., who's dispatched to try to find Sid, played by Ray Liotta, the St. Louis drug mogul, who's looking for the cocaine that was dropped into the forest. He sends O'Shea Jackson Jr. and Alden Ehrenreich to get the cocaine. You have Brooklyn Prince and Christian Convey, two young kids who get lost in the wilderness. You have Carrie Russell, who's Brooklyn Prince's mother, trying to rescue her. You have a lot of different characters. Margot Martindale's a park ranger. You have all these characters then that all sort of come to meet in the forest where this bear is on a ravenous rampage for coke. And I thoroughly enjoyed this picture, especially when you hold that up to the movies where there's a lot more reasons to love this. But when you look at a movie where the title tells you what the movie is going to be about, we have had Sharknado. We have had the hurricane heist. We have had the incredibly strange creatures who stopped living and became mixed up zombies. We've had that movie. Look it up. And those each in their own way proved very disastrous. Yeah. The Sharknado series, I think, is finally desperately dead. So as far like if you use it to the low barometer of comparing it to movies that tell you what the movie is about in the title of the movie, I think it's a winner. But this feels like such a perfect confluence of people in front of the camera and people behind the camera making this ridiculous concept work and set it into motion. For that, I turn it over to you, Joe.
Oh man. Why?
I don't know why.
So, let me say this. What Steve was saying in terms of like this, being leagues better than something like Sharknado or even, God, I remember reviewing this with you, Hurricane Heist, which was dog. That to me is like the potential of like, I love when a movie wants to like take a concept of an idea and they just don't do anything with it. I will say, out of those movies, Cocaine Bear actually delivers on the idea of a bear on cocaine going on a rampage. Everything with the bear in this movie is awesome. The kills are great. There's actually genuine tense moments. The bear is completely CGI, and I've heard people complain about it, and all I gotta say is, dude, it's a movie called Cocaine Bear. The tone of this movie is goofy. It's practically like a Looney Tunes movie or like an Itchy and Scratchy show, like if you really want to get down to it. That's
a legit comparison.
I didn't mind that the bear, it looked fake at times. That's fine because like, dude, it's a bear on cocaine, like, and they go wild with it to where like you have the infamous shot from the trailer that sold me. That I'm gonna show a screenshot of it right now of it jumping like right into the back of an ambulance van after like running like 100 miles an hour down like the freeway. It's so much fun when it comes to the bear. And Elizabeth Banks, I gotta say, like, out of all the movies you made, this to me, like, it's like you show potential here with like taking a concept and really running with it. But like, so other than the bear, everybody else in this movie I wasn't crazy about, and unfortunately they occupy like 2/3 of the movie. I'm sorry, Steve. I'm sorry.
Keep going.
I literally told my friends, I'm like, hey, what does Godzilla King of Monsters and Cocaine Bear have in common? And when they tell me O'Shea Jackson Jr., I'm like, crap, you're right. I forgot about that. But that there are a lot of human characters, a lot of them, and the movie I think is kind of splitting up a lot of its time, jumping between characters that are just there to get slaughtered. And it's not like I'm really like looking for like amazing characters, but give me like a solid 3 to 4 of them to like go on this adventure with. So I feel like I'm a part of a group while like this bear is just terrorizing the woods out there or something, man. Everybody in this movie was just, they're basically just a caricature of something. Alden Ehrenreich is a guy who recently watched, oh my God, I'm like putting on the like 2-year-old voice there. He recently lost his widow, and he's just one note the entire time of just crying about it and being depressed about it until later on, with a bear practically has sex with him. What was it called? The sheriff of the movie, who's played by
Isaiah Whitlock Jr.
I was gonna say Margot. I meant to say Park Ranger, actually.
Margot Martindale.
Yeah, I forget because she has a gun, so I think she's a sheriff, but really she's just a Park Ranger. But Margot Martindale, she's great in this. With the material she's given, it's just that she's very one note. She's trying to get in this dude's pants. Isaiah Whitlock Jr. is just a detective. I mean, there's real no character to them, that it just made me go like, look. Thank God the movie's only an hour and a half, but like, I did feel the length of this movie, and it sucks to say that when it's as short as it is, because it was just like, I'm not really attached to anybody in this movie, and I really don't care about what's going on with, you know, Dee Dee and her mom trying to find her, and really like just everything that's happening, all these side stories, because it's just like, we're jumping around so much, I don't feel like anything gets fleshed out, that like, if I'm jumping to another person and that bear isn't there, I'm just like, I really don't care, man. I will say, performance-wise, everybody's good. Like, Isaiah Whitlock Jr. is probably my favorite performance in the movie. I love how dedicated he was to, like, playing this, like, cop that's trying to find out, like, who this, like, drug dealer is and where all the cocaine's at. Ranger Liz has, like, some of my favorite scenes in this movie, where she gets bit in the ass and is like, I'll be right back, and, like, literally walks throughout the woods. And just the scene it goes from there is even more hilarious. Who else? I thought this little kid, dude, Christian Convery, who plays Henry. Dude, if there was somebody that was making me go like, okay, I do look forward to seeing him on screen, it was him. Because like every time he popped up, he had like just some great line delivery for as little of a kid as he is, where he's standing his own between people. To where, I know you have your favorite line in the movie delivered by who'd you say it was?
Scott Seiss.
Henry, the character Henry's got my favorite, which is near the end of the movie, which is just like, my name is Henry, and I won't spoil the next part of it. But like, there's just a lot of missed opportunities here, where it's like they introduce stuff with these characters and they don't really do anything with them. Like, there's a scene where two of these kids in the movie, Dee Dee and Henry, they stumble across a package of cocaine, and like, this isn't really a spoiler. It might seem like it from what I'm about to say, but they do like a mountain, not a mountain, but they do the most cocaine I've ever seen somebody do in a movie at once. And like nothing comes of it. They're not like going crazy as much as this bear is. Like they're actually kind of like reserved for the most part for being kids on cocaine, when I thought like, damn, that was a missed opportunity for probably some just like more wacky jokes and just being like totally absurd. I think that's like also the element of this movie that it was missing for me, is just the absurdity of this idea. It very much is just playing into the goofy side of it, and at times it really works, and at times I felt like it was just kind of disappointing, and just like I really wanted to love this movie, and I think I just made a better movie in my head, like just from the title of Cocaine Bear. And it sucks to say that, but I know I'm in the minority. Everybody I've talked to has loved this movie. Maybe Dom will say otherwise. My dad and my stepmother went to go see it last night, and they came home and they literally told me, what the fuck is wrong with you? How did you not like this movie? Even though like when I get to the end of this review, I'll share like, you know, my actual feeling of it, like, and what I told them. So that's where I'm at. I'll pass it off to Dom.
This is probably one of my favorite works of historical fiction in a long time. Just the absurdist nature of it all. Just a great big what if. And I love that idea, and I encourage it more. Just big fat what ifs, and let's just go nuts with it. It also emulates it. This felt like very much like an 80s movie. Obviously that's very obvious, because it's like, oh, it's emulating that style. And the first like 20 minutes of this movie, it's like playing like 80s synths. I was like, okay, we get it, we're in the 80s. But more than that, it captures that feeling with the kids doing drugs and like swearing. I'm like, okay, this is like some Sandlot shit Not as much as I thought it would go, as Joe said, but it's capturing some of that. Yeah, we're getting some irreverent kids here. There's drugs. Literally, Ray Liotta is in it.
I said, just to briefly interrupt you, I said in my review that this feels like one of those like wilderness. It looks like it because of John Galisarian's photography. It looks like one of those wilderness set 80s family movies, like comedy dramas that was hijacked by a bear on cocaine. I don't expect either of you to remember this movie, but it's got Candace Cameron in it from Full House. It's the movie Camp Cucamonga from the 90s. That's what this really reminded me of. Was that I even referenced it in my review, and I can't believe I'm thinking of that movie again, but continue.
It really captured that 80s feeling, not aesthetic. Obviously, it does have that in spades, but it captures that feeling of watching an 80s movie that I haven't felt with a lot of film and TV that goes ham on the 80s aesthetics, but not quite the feel. It's like, no, this feels very much like a 2010s movie. But regardless, all that being said, I had a good time in the theater, and it wasn't even that full. I did have some small groups because I went in the afternoon. I had some small groups, yucking it up, having a good time, and just like, oh, and doing some light clapping here and there. So it's whatever, but I had a good time. But I actually think I'm gonna float with Joe here on this one, in that it peaks. This movie does have some great set pieces, some great, visual and action gags. One of them made me just laugh, like guffawed. Was just a big fat, and that got everyone in the theater. And then after that, just this big, flowery, showy, action sequence where people are flipping, doors are being torn down, and it's awesome. That string of events is the peak of the movie for me. Once you get past that and you kind of float back into the mom trying to find her kids, as well as the Ray Liotta entering the picture, entering the situation, that last like what 30 to 40 minutes kind of does slow down, maybe more like 20 minutes, because Isaiah Whitlock Jr. Definitely carries the scenes he's in just the tiredness of it all. Very, very Wire, where it's like, oh boy, everyone was kind of waiting for the shit moment. I think he says shit like a little. I think he says it like once, but not like in the way he usually says it. But all that regardless, this movie peaks, and I'm waiting for it to hit another peak, if not to surpass what I felt there in the middle, or if even just to match it. But it doesn't quite hit that, and the resolution, it felt like it was trying to go for like some kind of Jurassic Park thing. Particularly, we got a movie monster here. We've got some.
I felt that too, actually.
Right, right. Yeah, it's like you got like the Velociraptor, so the bear, stalking these kids, stalking these people in an enclosed space as well. But you have, appropriately so, you have none of the wonder, none of the moralizing, none of the deepness and whimsy that comes with Spielberg and John Williams and Jurassic Park, which is fine. It's Cocaine Bear. I don't want any of that. But it didn't feel like it was fully attacking that contrast head on as much as I could have. Again, really, to Joe's point, we might have made a better movie in our heads. Maybe not to the extent fully, literally, but just to the fact that, oh man, I was kind of rapping for something more here. So that's really much the crux of it, Joe.
I was gonna say, like, the movie that kept popping in my head was Megan while watching this, where it's
okay.
Like, there was moments of Megan where I was like, man, like, I did have crazier situations of like what this movie could have been in my head, but like I still felt that Megan took its concept and really did run with it for the most part. There were a few times I felt like, okay, it does take a while to get going and whatnot, but Megan really stuck the landing. Cocaine Bear, to me, I'm glad you mentioned like that string of events, because that's how I felt, where it was like, all right, the movie's taking a while to get going, and because there's so many characters, we're splitting off and we're introducing.
That's fine if you can deliver.
Yeah. I mean, like the beginning, like first 20 minutes of this movie, like we do get like a kill, but then like after that, you're bouncing between so many different characters. I was just sitting there like, All right, well, I mean, like, hopefully this pays off in some sort of way, because it's like, I feel like the movie just keeps restarting because we're introducing another set of characters, and we're taking a while for everybody to get into one location now. But when you get to that string of events that you're talking about, yeah, it's when the movie kind of, I guess, yeah, peaked for me as well, because I was like, okay, I'm really digging this. I'm loving it. It's infectious with the audience as well. And then I would say, like, right after that ambulance chase, like, and at times even, like, during the moment where I felt like it did peak, it was having its lows for me. But after that ambulance chase, yeah, dude, this movie just came to a standstill for me. It's almost like the movie just went ta-da, and then, like, it was like, all right, we got, like, 30 minutes left, so let's just wrap up everything else.
The scene where Isaiah Whitlock Jr. and O'Shea Jackson are also junior, the two juniors are having a standoff at the gazebo. I thought that was an interesting, situation, particularly when the bear enters the fray. But which is fine. Like, you have the ambulance up here, and then you have the gazebo, which is tense because you've got, guns involved, and the bear is still there. Yeah. But down here, it's like, okay, cool. And then I'm waiting for, like, okay, now we're gonna finish big up here. But yeah, it doesn't quite hit that same emotional arc as the crazy ass ambulance sequence did.
Go on, Steve. Go ahead.
Well, and here's where I will concede. Here's where I will concede, even though I think I like this movie the most out of the three of us. I will concede, though, that one of my few gripes with this is that, and I think we can all agree that I think we all love the ambulance scene. I think it's the best scene in the movie, personally.
And the scenes before that, like the bathroom scene with O'Shea, the fight scene.
Yeah, the bathroom scene's really good too. The bathroom scene is good.
Yeah.
A little cruel to Margot Martindale in the ambulance scene, but very funny, no less. But I think we can all agree that might be one of, if not the best scenes in the movie. The movie needed more. Cocaine Bear did need more dynamically funny scenes like that. It needed more kind of kinetic sequences,
more slapstick
of the bear even jumping into the ambulance. That's a really good shot right there.
It was so
or just
cool.
Stuff that's wacky like that, because I feel like the gazebo scene is tense, but I also concede, though, the gazebo scene does reach a point in a way where it gets a little ponderous. It gets a little bit, like, kind of stuck almost, like, narratively speaking. Like, there's a lot of, like, don't move, don't shoot, like this and that. And then
which is fine.
It almost feels like the bear takes a few too many, like, beats to show up in that particular scene. That's where I will concede, though. But I'll also add with this, with the flux of characters and everything, I think Violent Night and Megan are very good points of comparison with this thing, because all three of these movies sold us on a one-sentence concept. They all sold us on an idea, a wacky idea or something. But the thing that makes all three of those movies really good, at least in my opinion, is that they also presented us with characters. They presented us with some meat on the bone. They presented us with a concept they actually kind of carried stuff with. Violent Night at least had some logic with the Santa Claus and the magic and a story behind him, as well as this wealthy family in this house. It was pretty concentrated. Megan has the dynamic of, like, of the woman who's thrust into being the mother figure and pawns off the responsibilities on this AI robot that then takes care of the kid. But to what end is this child supposed to stop connecting with Megan? And then you have Cocaine Bear that at least fuels a lot of this with, at least in part, some dynamic personalities that kind of give you almost every angle on how you could approach this situation of a bear on cocaine.
Of those three movies, I definitely easily like Cocaine Bear the most. Like, that's something you don't even have to sell a sentence on. That's literally 2 words and I'm in. It's Megan. I'm talking about,
I know
Megan
you weren't
now.
a fan. You weren't a huge fan of Megan.
I'm really not, because it actually has a deeper, or it has a deeper potential, because it has some of that potential, like Steven Spielberg whimsy and moralizing, like more to the sci-fi aspect, like a Minority Report, for instance, with AI and all, what is life, or the consequences of this. Cocaine Bear has absolutely none of that, which is fine. But then you're really banking on the action and the slapstick. I'm going to gravitate towards that word, the slapstick of it all. And honestly, my favorite gag is it doesn't even involve the ambulance. It's freaking Margot Martindale. It's opening a door and a gun, and that is the highlight of the movie. For me, just that gag. I was really caught off guard by that joke. That was such a good joke, and I was waiting for more of that. But the movie really shot in that moment. And from there, it just couldn't quite live up. And I don't know, it was like, it was like getting to like, might be a stretch, but it was like getting to like Planet of the Apes, the new trilogy at the end there, where it's like, oh, we're going to get dark and like a little brooding, a little moralizing. And we have this action sequence by a waterfall, and these characters like having like an argument over like the kids and the drugs, and no, I'm not going to follow you, Ray Liotta. And I'm like, we're good. I think part of the problem too, just in the basic mechanics of it, is that I thought this was going to take place in a country town as opposed to like a forest. So it's less kind of exciting there. Where it's like, oh, okay, so it's a forest, so we're really isolated now. I thought it was going to be like this bear rips up a town like in Jurassic Park 2 or the Lost World Jurassic Park. But that's beside the point.
Hey man, Cocaine Bear 2, it'll be like The Purge 2. He'll go to a city this time and actually do.
That's what I'm saying, man.
They did leave it quite open for a sequel.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you in terms of like the comedy. I did feel like slapstick, like when it was on screen, it worked the best here. There's some weird editing in this movie, man, where they cut away to like sight gags of like just like almost like a family style, not Family Guy style type of humor, but like sort of like they cut away to like a flashback of something.
It was unnecessary. It was really unnecessary.
It really distracted me at times. I'm like, why would we do that? Like, it just made me go like, man, like let's actually just like focus on telling a joke in a different way. The comedy, like for me, the comedy was fine. Like I got plenty of good laughs, but there were plenty of times I kind of just was staring at the screen like, all right, that was a joke, I guess. Like, it was just weird. I did love the run-on joke with Ice Cube's son. I don't want to mispronounce his name again. O'Shea Jackson.
O'Shea Jackson.
I love the run-on joke of like everybody else in this movie is getting messed up by this bear, bitten, slashed, scratched, whatever. But it's people that are messing him up throughout the whole movie. I thought, like, okay, that was actually kind of funny. It's like
black man in America. That's how it is.
He has no repercussions with the bear. Him and the bear don't even barely even cross paths in this movie or even get close to one another.
That is funny. I didn't think about that. That is good.
Human beings are messing up, whether they're like stabbing him, shooting him. It's just like Jesus. That to me was really funny.
Guess we should take our Zoom-sponsored intermission, come back with more thoughts on Cocaine Bear, and then also transition to talk about the South Park lawsuit currently embroiling 2 streaming platforms. Dom will have all the details on that coming up here shortly. In the meantime, it is Sleepless with Steve. We come to you live and in living color every Wednesday evening. Be back in about a little bit longer, probably intermission. We got to test some things. 90 to 120 seconds as opposed to your usual 60 to 90. We'll be back in a few. This is Sleepless with Steve. after the Zoom-sponsored intermission. This is Sleepless with Steve, live on YouTube, talking Cocaine Bear. Some difference of his opinion, which I always love on this show, regarding Cocaine Bear. It is all good, though. Where did we leave off? It's a long Zoom-sponsored intermission.
I'm good to go into final thoughts, honestly.
We were talking about comedy and slapstick and just kind of the writing of the movie.
Sure.
Like that's where
sure.
we're
at. I think we've distilled our arguments.
We can kind of move. We can kind of move into final thoughts here. I'll also just say too that I really was captivated, and it sucks that they do get separated early on. As I parlay this into my final thoughts, I really like the chemistry, and Joe, I even think you'd agree, between Brooklyn Prince and Christian Convery.
Yeah.
I like their chemistry a lot. It sucks that Brooklyn Prince kind of goes away for a long stretch of the movie. She kind of disappears during like the midsection. But I thought that was probably one of the only few missteps in terms of the characterization. What I will wrap up by saying, though, is I thought the characterization here was very solid insofar that, like, all these characters are like functional dopes where they find more ways to be funny more often than they do to be like cloyingly stupid. I think the only really stupid character is Jesse Tyler Ferguson, who is the park ranger's love interest. I think he's probably the dumbest, and he doesn't last very long. Spoiler alert. But
that's another great slapstick scene.
It is.
Just his death is awesome.
It very much is. But I like the anthological approach to this. I do. This movie plays kind of like an anthology. I think it retains suspense while it does. I think the way it moves these characters through the wilderness is a little bit like chess pieces, and I was very in tune to how it all coalesced. And I do think it's an accomplished production in general. Mark Mothersbaugh has a lot of fun 80s synths and scores, which compounds this movie feeling like it's actually from the 80s. John Gulasarian's cinematography, I said, plays into that as well. And you also have Joel Negron, the editor, I think, has a little bit of fun timing the synths to the events of the movie, which I thought was an interesting point. So I thought the production values coupled with the characters and the acting and tied together by Elizabeth Banks's directing, which is kinetic but not really too frenetic, if that makes sense. I think everything coalesces here to give probably the best movie about a cocaine addicted bear I think you could ask for. It's a rock solid 3 out of 4 stars for me, and it is in tune with Megan and Violent Night. I gave the same rating across to all 3 of those movies. I think this is a joyously fun time to like weird movies. Let's see if we keep it going between Renfield and The Blackening. As spring turns into summer, we shall see. Those are the other 2 movies I'm already lumping in this category. But Cocaine Bear gets 3 out of 4 from me. What say you, Dom? Then we'll go to Joe to send us home.
3 out of 4 easily, because of the 3 movies Elizabeth Banks has directed, Pitch Perfect 2, Charlie's Angels, Cocaine Bear. I haven't seen Charlie's Angels, but I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be a big fan of that one. But yeah, Cocaine Bear is easily the best. The craft is good. The pacing could use a lot of work towards the latter half, even the last third. But those action sequences, the slapstick, and the characterization really is, to its credit, awesome. And I think the movie's already made, like, just on the precipice of making its budget back. So I'm really pulling through for Banks on this one, and I hope that the next one is kind of not to say it's like a comeback for her, but I'm really hoping it's going to do good things for her career, because I'd love to see more of her work, what she does, particularly after this, with something maybe not as in your face as Cocaine Bear. But yeah, dude, 3 out of 4 stars for me.
Real quick, did my phone play something through the mic, or did you guys not hear it?
I didn't hear it.
I didn't hear it.
Okay, good. All right. I felt so bad because I opened my phone because I've been using it for notes and everything, and it played audio, and I was like, great, I think I just interrupted somebody's final thoughts, and now I feel like a terrible human being.
No, I didn't hear it.
No, you're good.
The reason why I asked that is because I was going through like upcoming films as well, because I wanted to ask this. Would you throw Strays into that category as well?
Which one?
Strays, the talking dog movie.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I don't want to, yeah, I guess.
It seems to be in the same vein.
It seems to be in the same vein. I mean, it is different in the regard of that.
I don't know
yeah,
if it's good. I just mean, like, I look at it, I'm like, all right, yeah, like, that's actually kind of taking a, like, concept. Maybe, hell, would the Barbie movie count as that, too?
No, I wouldn't go that far because
Okay.
Barbie's technically a straightforward adaptation of something commonly well
That's true.
known.
Actually,
That's
yeah,
high
yeah,
art.
yeah.
That's
That is
high art.
high
That's
art,
high
sir.
art. That's high art.
Don't you dare.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't want to go too like, doctoral thesis on the idea of this weird cinema thing, but it's hard not to notice when like 3 consecutive months we've gotten at least one of these mid-level like programmer type movies that's just thrives on this concept of being wacky, one sentence summary go.
Yeah. Anyways, my final thoughts. Sorry, it was just I was interested. I'm like, I'm like that's a good point. We do have like more coming out this year after starting off with these two. This one and Megan is what I'm referring to. So yeah, I mean, obviously, I think I liked it the least out of all three of us. Even though I've been telling people, I told my dad and my stepmom this. I thought it was all right. I thought it was fine for what it was, but I think mainstream audiences are gonna love this. And even though I keep telling people that, they're like, how the hell did you not like this movie? I'm just like, I do. I'm like, there's good things about it. It's just I'm a little disappointed by it. As Dom said, I think this is Elizabeth Banks' best movie, and I think this shows just how much she can actually take a concept like this and actually run with this. I actually really think like keep if you want to make this your niche as a director, like taking these straightforward concepts and really running with it rather than adapting something like a Charlie's Angels. I think that's much more suited for you. I think you'll do great with this. Even like what was it, that crappy movie movie 43 where it's like a bunch of shorts.
No, we don't. This is my show. We don't talk about that shit.
Her short though in that movie was the best out of all of them. Like I'll give her that. It's like it always showed potential.
It was the nicest. It was the nicest chair on the Titanic. Okay.
Like she's worked with so many people that I think like she could do great things as a director, and I think Cocaine Bear has shown that. I just have issues with like pacing, writing, other things that like I'm sure as she makes more and more films, she'll even get better with it. Dude, I was like tossing up between 2.5 out of 3 stars and 2 stars. And I was like, all right, let me like sleep on it and see where I land. Sadly for me, Cocaine Bear is 2 out of 4 stars.
Wow. Whoa. 2 out of 4. 2.5 I was expecting.
I told you he's a hater. I told you.
That's rough.
I didn't warn
you.
Dude,
man, maybe I'll wake up tomorrow. It'll be 2.5. I'm already going to see this again, so that should tell you something too.
I forgot if you mentioned it. Did you watch this with people or by yourself?
Did I go like with my friends or something?
With a group?
No, I went by myself. I did. Okay, so I did text them as in the guys here, that I did have like a bunch of teenagers who a parent came in and dropped them off and then left.
Oh, that's right. No, I saw that. Yeah, in the chat.
I remember that.
Crap. I'm like, dude, these kids, and like throughout the whole time trailers were playing, they were taking Snapchats with their flash on.
That does suck.
And I'm just like, please don't do this during the movie. No, during the movie they were actually like reserved, and they actually just like were being a normal audience member. So I didn't have like a theater experience that was ruined, and I was glad for that, because I will say, if you see this with a packed audience, it's probably infectious enough to like make you even love the movie more. Everybody I've talked to has told me they saw this, and maybe I would have had a better time if I saw it maybe like a Thursday opening night with like a
not that should make a difference.
It shouldn't,
if anything,
but like sometimes it does infect you to like enjoy something a little bit more. Like
it does.
It totally does. But like I mean, I laughed out loud. I don't care when people like I watch comedies and it's like I'm the only person like sitting there by myself. I'll laugh out loud. I snuck a Jimmy John's sandwich into the theater with me, man. That should tell you how much I don't care about.
That's hilarious.
About going to the theater by myself.
You want to hear something really sad? So I saw Cocaine Bear last Thursday. You know how many people were in my theater, not including me?
Who?
None.
Dude, so you had a
not a single.
What time did you watch it?
5:30.
Oh.
You went
and full disclosure, I went to a screening of Magic Mike's Last Dance last week as well. Tuesday at 3:50, there were 22 people in the damn theater. At 3:50 on a Tuesday. I was stunned. I wasn't expecting a full house, but I was hoping for like 10 or 12 people. Not a single soul in Cocaine Bear. Not a single soul.
Wow.
I was shocked. And that's happened a lot. I've actually, believe it or not, I've seen more movies out here where I am the only one in the theater than I did back in Peru. Peru was only a couple times, maybe 2 or 3. It's probably been 5 or 6 by this point in Dubuque. It's unbelievable. But at any rate, though, great review of Cocaine Bear. Really glad that we got to rub our noses in that. We shall segue very smoothly. I'm going to pass it off to Dom here because anytime the word lawsuit gets evoked, I always go to him. This is a story that I've caught up on just in the last couple of days. You might have heard about it. I feel like it's all over these media outlets. I'm going off the Variety article here by Gene Mattis, but South Park currently embroiled in a lawsuit. This is the stuff of South Park episodes right here. Warner Brothers Discovery has sued Paramount Global over licensing dispute with South Park. Now, I'll just give the brief recap here. For a while, South Park was available on Hulu. Hulu was the South Park streaming app for the most part. It was that and Family Guy. Well, then when HBO Max became a thing, South Park quietly moved over to HBO Max. And then Paramount Plus came into the fold, and now Trey Parker and Matt Stone, who ultimately work for Viacom, which owns Paramount and Comedy Central, Trey Parker and Matt Stone signed that enormous near billion with a B dollar deal for those, 13 South Park specials. I think we've got now 4. We've gotten 4 of those.
I think so. Yeah, 4. Yeah, the 4. Yeah, they're both actually the 2. They're paired off. It's the pandemic special and then pandemic special,
the vaccination
something
special,
else, and then Streaming Wars Part 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Well, it's post-COVID, the return of COVID, post-COVID, Streaming Wars 1 and 2. It's those 4. The vaccination special and the pandemic special were separate things,
right?
But yeah. So now there's currently a licensing dispute between HBO Max and Paramount Plus, and Warner Brothers Discovery is driving this lawsuit. I will pass it off to Dom to more succinctly summarize.
I would like to actually preface this whole conversation by saying the Supreme Court is currently hearing arguments for student debt relief to the current president's student debt relief plans. And a lot of young people are getting really engaged on that topic. And there's some protests happening in front of the Supreme Court and all that. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about 2 mega corporations swinging their dick around for hundreds of millions of dollars. And this is the real news right here. So as Steve, you got that, Joe? I'm getting this?
Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah. South Park lawsuit, Warner Brothers Discovery sues Paramount Global. That is literally a joke in post-COVID, I think. Warner Brothers Discovery, Paramount Global, Chick-fil-A, Walmart or something like that. But if we recall, over $500 million to make these specials, these mini movies. That is an insane amount of money, even for all the work that goes into a South Park episode. I never go a discussion on South Park without recommending the documentary that they made called 6 Days to Air, how they make a South Park episode. I love that documentary. It's a quick watch too. I think it's less than an hour.
It is.
Dude. The articles do a good job, but you know me, I love my legal documents. Dude, this reads exactly how you think it reads. It's two corporations swinging their dicks around, and the crux of the argument is more so in a very technical sense, is that when they made this deal, HBO wanted to up their game by doing this, but then Paramount decided to make this a staple part of their programming as well, these episodes. And it all comes down to the fact that 10 episodes of seasons 24 through 26. I'm really jumping around. Pardon me. I got to find the all type A licensed content for seasons 24 through 26. That is what HBO paid for. HBO talks a lot about the bidding war. They paid a lot of money to get these exclusive rights. But as we all know, COVID happened, and that if you watch 6 Days to Air, any slight bump in how they make these episodes, it really wrecks their production schedule. So you know what? Parker and Stone made the strategic decision to switch to specials. And
there was a long gap between season 23 and season 24.
Well, 100%. And when they got around to season 24, look at the season. Look at the episodes.
Those are the two specials.
Yeah. Here
so that constitutes. I didn't know that.
Here's season 8. Just a
I
random
didn't know that constituted as season 24. Just those two episodes. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Here's season 8 just as a sample. Typical TV show. 14 episodes, right?
It just reminded me how good that You Got F'd in the A episode is. Continue.
100%. Yeah. Season 24. So 2020. Dude, 2 episodes. They're longer episodes, certainly. But this does not, and season 25, 6 episodes, consisting of 6 episodes. It is the shortest season of the show by runtime, and the second shortest by episode count. Dude. Only the previous season being so 6 episodes.
I completely missed that season 2 because of how short it was. I didn't even realize it was out.
Yeah. Thus, so for the record, here in the legalese, SPDS is South Park Digital Studios. That's South Park themselves. That's Parker and Stone.
Yeah.
Thus, SPDS's representation is that the new seasons would comprise 30 episodes. So of the 3 seasons, so seasons 24, 25, 26, 10, 10, 10, 30, were essential to Warner HBO's calculation. Remember, Warner HBO is suing Paramount. Calculation of its proposed per episode rate. On information and belief, SPDS knew that its representations about the number of new episodes were dispositive in securing the highest possible bids. That's just a fancy way of saying, hey, we outbid Netflix for hundreds of millions of dollars, over $500 million, or over 500 mil for these 30 episodes. You got to give us that. That is, according to our interpretation of the deal, 30 episodes. On that information and belief, South Park Digital Studios knew that if it actually intended to offer fewer than 10 episodes for each of the new seasons, the reduced number of episodes would mean a lower flat fee per episode bid. They're saying, hey, if you knew that you were going to do less than 30, then we should have gotten a better deal on that.
Yeah, then we shouldn't have paid that price tag.
That is the offer on the table. Now, once again, I want to interject by saying, yes, these are major corporations swinging their dick around. I have no personal stake in the matter, but here is actually what they are bringing to court before a judge, before a trial by jury, demand for trial by jury. They mean serious business because they're a major corporation. They ain't dicking around here. And on that specific number, 30, South Park Paramount is going to have probably some legal trouble to have on their hands. And there's all kinds of, other legal preparation stuff that they do here. One of my favorites is that they actually quote, I think it's Stone, on August 25th, 2021, in furtherance of their scheme, Paramount's indirect subsidiary, MTV, so MTV's involved here, announced a new deal with Parker and Stone, reportedly worth more than $900 million. So now they're implicating, hold on. You're saying that, you're screwing us over the 500 mil because South Park Studios got $900 million. As Stone publicly described it, we have fuck you money now. This is the legal document within circulation of the state of New York, for the record. That quote.
That's such a thing to have in like a court.
It really
1000%. And Stone is probably proud to have that in, on the record.
Oh, they're giddy.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. 3 seasons and 30 episodes in a new, again, they keep harping on this 30 episodes or whatever the math comes out to come to those 30 episodes. Taking the longest running primetime scripted series. And it's funny if you read the whole document or at least skim through it. They go like, they actually inflate South Park's ego quite a lot. And honestly, justly so, because it's a cultural phenomenon. But for South Park to serve as a critical content offering that would differentiate HBO Max from other streaming platforms, attract new subscribers by targeting a key demographic that HBO content alone did not traditionally serve, and solidify its subscriber base. Lots of legal jargon, lots of corporate speak. But, from their point of view, it makes sense because this is actually what makes the world go around in terms of the money. The hundreds of millions of dollars all adds up to billions of dollars all over this fat ass and his three friends. That is really what it comes down to.
Classify them as his friends. They hate that fat.
Also true. In an attempt to fire back, maybe either to muddy the waters or maybe for some PR, Paramount kind of was saying, Paramount, of course, denied the allegations. The company also accused Warner Brothers, so firing back here, of failing to pay the license fees that it owes under the agreements. So it's like, hold on, we licensed this out to you. South Park licensed out to you. You're a little late on that rent, buddy. But I don't think that's quite within this filing because that's again, Warner Brothers is the plaintiff. They are suing. And Paramount, South Park, MTV are the defendants. They are being sued. But still, there's going to be some back and forth here. I am very curious to see how it turns out. Not that I have any moral cares here, because it's all hilarious. But how this will affect South Park themselves if they decide to take direction, they're going to take some pot shots at one or both of the parties involved, or all of the parties involved here.
Probably both,
as is usual. But yeah, it's really a case of let's see what the next major corporation step they take. But yeah, reading or just even skimming this brief was pretty damn funny. Because they really are just fighting over this cartoon. Yeah.
And it's hard to really go off of specifics or like really offer a really cogent opinion on this because we don't know what really the licensing agreement was. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't know if it was implied, if it was written in no pun intended stone. We don't know. We don't know what the deal itself really constituted. All we really heard was when they went to Paramount Plus, we knew that that they were moving off of it, but outside of that, and we just knew about the 14 specials. We didn't know anything really else that was kind of lurking underneath it and stuff. I'm actually just more surprised that they called the vaccination and pandemic special season 24.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That surprises me. I thought those were just two one-off specials that they did. Because I remember there was a huge gap between the new seasons of South Park, due to COVID and other things as well. Because I remember one of the talking points, we talked about this during the pandemic when we first revived the show, was South Park is going to come back and just have loads of material to work with over the last several months. Yeah. And then they came out with the two specials. I had no idea that they released that as season 24. So that was kind of the shock to me.
What was it?
Go ahead, Joe.
Like the last season before that, it ended like early 2019 because like usually South Park always comes out like early on in a year. Sometimes they'll do like a summer thing, and then when 2020 rolled around, like the pandemic was happening, and as Dom has been saying, we know how they usually do these episodes. They'll sometimes do them a week out, sometimes days out from the episode airing. So yeah, when COVID hit, it was like we didn't get South Park for like the longest. It felt like forever. I mean, for all I know, the last episode could have been actually 2018, maybe bleeding over into 2019.
Specifically on that, I think Trey and Stone, Parker and Stone are, post 2016 election where they kind of whiffed on that prediction on who was going to win. In addition to tasting what it's like to not have to make these episodes in that specific way. For the first time in like over 2 decades. I think they've like, oh shit, yeah, we can experiment a little bit here. The problem is they're kind of legally obligated, and the fatal flaw may have been putting a 2 for the episode count on season 24. That simple mistake may cost them some money, or may just cost Paramount money. So who cares? But
it's true, because calling that a season, I could see how that looks dubious on their part.
It really really may just come down to just how they organize the number system on that, which is kind of funny. That's what all that money comes down to, potentially could come down to. It's going to be interesting, and I think this is definitely the streaming wars. This is another important chapter on how big these deals, these digital deals, are. Granted, I think stuff like this has always been a thing in terms of like TV rights, film rights, or whatever. I'm sure there are plenty of examples,
Sure.
but specifically within this streaming framework, and specifically within like just it being South Park at all, really makes it stick out and makes this interesting. So I know for a fact we're going to cover this again down the line.
I say so too. Keep the finger on the pulse, as I like to say with this story. You did a phenomenal job distilling that, Dom. I greatly appreciate that, as you normally do. That is it for Sleepless with Steve tonight. Really good episode, gents. Really thrilled. Well, it was a good show all around. It's Creed 3 next week, correct?
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm pumped for that. I'm pumped as
too.
shit. I'm seeing that tomorrow. I can't wait. I've been a big fan of both of these movies. I really like the way this series has went. I like that. I like that Rocky is out of the picture of this one, and I think they came with probably the juiciest premise yet. I have high hopes for this. Michael B. Jordan's in the director's chair, something I feel like's been surprisingly underreported, but I'm so pumped for this. Jonathan Majors is in this. I love the trailer for this. Soundtrack drops even on Friday too. I've listened to every. There's two big movie series that soundtracks I always keep up with. It's Fast and Furious and it's Creed, because they have some banger soundtracks. They have some banger soundtracks. I still bump some of the Creed 2 soundtrack, which actually has what's really cool about the Creed 2 soundtrack. This is apropos of nothing, but some of the movie clips are spliced into the song. There's a song called Fight, but Mike Will made it, and it opens with Rocky's monologue to Creed about how this guy's dangerous and a fighter's at his most dangerous when he's got nothing to lose. And then the beat drops. And it bangs, man. It's like something Dom cooked up for his wedding. It's that good. Oh, man. That's what we call an inside joke. Creed 3 next week. Looking forward to it with these gentlemen. Great review of Cocaine Bear. At least two of us were right on the money. And Dom, I think Dom's the MVP of the show with his coverage of the South Park lawsuit. So everybody, appreciate you watching. As always, highlights posted on this very YouTube channel, which you're watching it now. We'll be live again next week, same time, same place, 6:30 Central Time. For Dominic Guanzon in the trademark blue polo, Joe Viso, and yours truly, this has been Sleepless with Steve.